You ever stop and think about the unsung hero of your house? Nope, not the smart speaker, not the fancy coffee machine. I'm talking about that big metal box that keeps you from melting in a heat wave and freezing in a cold snap. Today, we're diving into the ultimate survival guide for your home's HVAC system.
Think about it. It's like a guardian, standing watch 24/7. It's in a constant battle with the world outside, just to keep your home feeling perfect. And most of the time, we don't even give it a second thought.
But here's the thing, that guardian is under a constant attack. We're talking extreme heat, humidity, salt in the air, you name it. So the real question is, can your system actually win this fight, or is it on a fast track to failure? To figure that out, we're going to head to a real HVAC battleground, Coral Gables, Florida. And what's so cool about this is that by looking at how systems survive, or, don't, in one of the toughest places imaginable, we can learn some universal lessons that work for any home, anywhere.
So, what exactly makes a place like this so brutal? Well, first, you've got this constant, soupy humidity that makes AC units work overtime just to pull moisture out of the air. Then you've got corrosive salt air that is literally eating away at the metal. Throw in some beautiful but challenging historic homes and an urban heat island effect that just traps all that heat, and you've got a recipe for pushing any HVAC system to its absolute limit. All that nonstop stress leads to some pretty common and predictable failures. So let's get to know these climate killers so you can spot the enemy before it takes out your home's guardian for good. First up, we've got this slow assassin, the refrigerant leak. That salty air we talked about, it creates these tiny microscopic holes in the outdoor coils. Your system then just slowly bleeds out its refrigerant, getting weaker and weaker, until one hot afternoon it just gives up completely. Next is one that can look, well, it can look pretty wild, a frozen evaporator coil. We're talking a literal block of ice forming inside your unit. It completely chokes off the airflow and puts this incredible strain on the compressor, which is the heart of the whole system. And you want to know the number one cause? Something ridiculously simple, a dirty air filter. And finally, there are the electrical failures. So think of parts like capacitors and contactors as the sprinters of your system. They provide that big jolt of energy to get things started. But in extreme heat, your system is cycling on and off all day long. And these parts, they just get worn out from the constant sprinting, leading to a sudden, complete breakdown. So how do you know if one of these killers is lurking? Well, your system will usually give you some warning signs. You gotta listen for new rattles or strange hums. Pay attention to any weird smells coming out of the vents. And if the airflow feels weak, your energy bills shoot through the roof, or, and this is the big one, your AC is blowing warm air, those are all cries for help. But here's the good news. You're not just a bystander in all this. You are actually the first line of defense in this battle. And there are some really simple, really powerful things you can do to protect your system. And really, the most important thing to remember is this. Being proactive is everything. Any pro will tell you that regular maintenance is what stops a tiny, easy-to-fix problem from turning into a massive, wallet-emptying disaster. So here's your basic homeowner toolkit. Number 1, check and change those air filters. It is the single easiest and most important thing you can do. Second, make sure your outdoor unit is clear of leaves and debris so it can actually breathe. Third, just pay attention. If you hear a new noise or smell something funny, don't just ignore it. And finally, you gotta know the 3-minute rule. This rule is so simple, but it can prevent some serious damage. It's just this. If your system shuts off for any reason, like a power flicker, wait at least 3 minutes before you turn it back on. That little pause lets the pressure inside the system balance out, which protects the compressor from getting totally slammed. It's a tiny bit of patience for a huge payoff. But look, even with the best care in the world, these machines get old. And eventually, every single homeowner faces that big, stressful question, do I repair this thing again, or is it finally time to replace it? So how do you make that call without kicking yourself later? Well, there's a really handy rule of thumb that a lot of technicians use, and it all revolves around this number, $5,000. It's called the $5,000 rule, and here's how it works. First, you take the age of your system, let's say it's 15 years old. Then you multiply that by the estimated cost of the repair, say $400. 15 times 400 is $6,000. Since that number is over $5,000, it's a pretty strong signal that putting more money into this old unit might not be the smartest move. It suggests it's probably time to start looking at new systems.
Okay, so the rule points to replace. Now what? You're suddenly looking at all these options, model numbers, and confusing acronyms. How in the world do you choose a new system that's actually going to be up for the job? Well, one of the biggest factors is something called the SEER rating. It's basically just a measure of its energy efficiency. Now, a lower SEER unit might have a cheaper price tag up front, but a higher SEER unit, that's where you see the real difference. It means significantly lower energy bills every single month. And this is huge for humid places. It does a much, much better job at pulling that sticky moisture out of the air, which makes your house feel way more comfortable.
So really, what this all comes down to is this. Especially in a tough climate, a high-efficiency system isn't some kind of luxury item. It's a smart investment that literally pays you back, month after month, in lower bills and just plain better comfort.
All right, we've walked through the battleground, we've identified the enemies, and we've learned the strategies. So now, let's pull it all together into one simple, smart homeowner playbook that you can use no matter where you live. And a big part of that playbook is just knowing what to expect when you do have to call in a professional. A good service call should always look like this. They give you a clear arrival window, they give you a written estimate that you have to approve before they start working, and they always test the system to make sure it's fixed before they pack up and leave. So here it is, the whole playbook boiled down. 1. Know what your local climate is throwing at your system. 2. You are the first line of defense, so do that simple maintenance. 3. Use handy tools like the $5,000 rule to make those big, tough decisions. 4. When it's time to replace, make that high C rating a priority. And 5. Know what good service looks like so you can call a pro and feel totally confident. And that brings us right back to where we started. With these lessons from one of the most extreme climates out there, you now have the game plan to get your system ready for whatever your own environment can throw at it. So the only question left is your home's guardian ready for its next battle?